Welcome to Under the Silence. I'm Bianca Moeschinger. This podcast is a space where we honour what's felt but often unspoken, where the body speaks and we learn to listen. In our recent episodes, we've been exploring presence, healing, and the sacred return to self. Today we deepen that conversation and talk about what it really means to land in the body. Because for many of us, presence is not a place we live. It's a fleeting moment we chase. But what if we could return? What if the body could become home again? Let's begin. So often we speak of being present, of landing in the moment, of coming home to ourselves. But how often does that truly happen? For many of us, being in the body, in the now, is a rare occurrence. Most of the time we're in motion, mentally travelling to the past, projecting into the future, looping through what-ifs, should-haves, and imagined scenarios. Our minds become travellers, moving not only through time but across dimensions of truth, illusion, memory, and fantasy. Meanwhile, our bodies are anchored in real time, breathing, beating, digesting, trying to manage a flood of chemistry and command signals from a mind that's often elsewhere. And so, what becomes real, what becomes physical, is only what lands. Only the parts of us that return from the mental, emotional, or energetic wandering and take shape in form. The breath we remember to take, the tear we allow to fall, the impulse we honour instead of override. Why say all this? Because this is what I do every day. My work, whether in emotional release bodywork or therapeutic space holding, is essentially this. I hold someone's hand long enough for them to find their way back to themselves. I create a pause, a space, a mirror, a moment. Sometimes that moment comes through a single breath, sometimes it takes months, and sometimes that moment never comes at all, because the person has wandered so far out of themselves their nervous system no longer recognizes the path home. But when it does come home, it's nothing short of a homecoming. In a recent podcast, I spoke about the phrase, hurt people, and while it's true there's something deeper, hurt people also hurt themselves, not always in visible ways, but in the ways they disconnect, the ways they silence their own needs, the ways they lose themselves in external influence, stimulation, or chaos, or the way they have forgotten how to listen to the quiet words of their inner self. Sometimes we travel so far out of ourselves we forget the way back, and tragically some never return. The soul has its own light, its own pulse of life, but it competes. It competes with a world overflowing with impressions, distractions, seductions, and while some of those stimulations are life-giving, colour, scent, taste, touch, sensuality, others offer an artificial high, a surface-level turn-on that mimics pleasure but leaves no nourishment. So how do we know the difference? Artificial pleasure is like sugar, fast, sweet, stimulating. It gives us a high, a quick hit, a fleeting sense of satisfaction. It lights us up, but only temporarily. It doesn't settle in the body, it doesn't land, it doesn't nourish. True pleasure, by contrast, is spice. Warm, slow, full-bodied. It turns on every cell. It rises through the breath, melts through the belly, and sings in the skin. It doesn't rush. It lingers. It fills. It sustains. One leaves us seeking more. The other reminds us we already have enough. For me, this is where psychosomatic awareness comes in. The body in its wisdom never lies. If something expands me, grounds me, nourishes me, I feel it in my belly, my breath, my chest. It doesn't leave me depleted. It doesn't rely on constant consumption. It lands. But when something is artificial, when it's driven by avoidance, addiction, or unmet need, it may light me up momentarily, but it never lands. So I ask myself, did I return to myself in that moment? Did it bring me home, or did it just help me forget? More recently, I worked with a client who from the outside seemed like she was functionally normal or functioning normal. If you saw her at a cafe or in a meeting, you'd never suspect the truth. But the moment she lay on my massage table, covered in blankets, safe and still, she began to shake. She began to cry, not like an adult trying to compose herself, but like a baby, in a cradle, untethered, overwhelmed, longing to be soothed. Her breath was fast, like sprinting inside her own body. I stayed with her quietly, holding the base of her spine as she slowly began to settle. I felt the sprint slow to a jog, the jog to a walk, the walk to soft stillness. Her body shifted, jutted, trembled, then softened. And when her stomach began to digest, I knew she had landed. She had arrived in herself. She wasn't broken. She didn't need fixing. She simply needed to be witnessed, fully, with no expectation, with no agenda, because she had just travelled through layers of herself, through unconscious fear, frozen memory, unspoken grief, and now she was home. I was the witness, she was the experience. This blog, like many I write, doesn't arrive with a final answer. It's a purpose. Its purpose is to offer a reflection, a prompt, a pause, to remind us all that the body is waiting, that presence is possible, that landing is not a one-time act, but a practice, and that even when we have forgotten the path, it's still there within reach, because the body remembers, the soul remembers, and like a bird returning to its nest after a long flight, we land tired, open, and finally home. Thank you for being here, for meeting these quiet reflections with the deep, with the depth they deserve. If this episode stirred something, can you let it land? Let it breathe. You can find more of my work at biancamoeschinger.com or explore our trainings and resources at psychosomatics and emotionalanatomy.com. Whether you're new to this journey or deep in the work, remember, the body is wise, the soul is waiting, and you are never too far from home. Until next time, keep listening, keep softening, and keep coming back.